There are movies you watch and forget immediately. And then there are movies like Paid in Full, stories that grip your heart, frustrate your spirit, and force you to reflect deeply on society, relationships, and the dangerous consequences of power abused. From the very first scene, Paid in Full throws you into a tense, chaotic atmosphere. A man storms into a business place, introducing himself as a military officer, Captain Rufus. The tension is immediate. His authority is loud, intimidating, and unquestioned. Within minutes, he recovers a debt of 17 million naira, not through legal means, but through fear, manipulation, and brute presence. It is here the film begins to peel back its core theme. Power, when unchecked, becomes oppression. Captain Rufus is not just a character, he is a symbol of authority gone rogue, a man who hides behind a uniform to exploit, intimidate, and dominate. His profession as a supposed army officer becomes his tool for extortion, collecting debts at outrageous commissions, 40%, unapologetically. He thrives in a broken system where people are desperate and institutions fail. But beyond the public persona lies something even darker, his home life. We are introduced to Chama, his wife. At first glance, she appears quiet, obedient, and deeply submissive, but as the story unfolds, we begin to understand that her silence is not peace, it is fear. She lives under strict control. Every move she makes is monitored. Every decision she attempts to take is shut down. She cannot watch movies. She cannot own a proper phone. She cannot visit family freely. She cannot even walk freely without being criticized. Captain Rufus strips her of individuality piece by piece, reducing her to nothing more than an extension of his ego. He dictates how she dresses, how she speaks, how she behaves, even how she thinks. The level of psychological control he exerts is both disturbing and painfully realistic. One of the most frustrating aspects of this film is watching how normalized Chama's suffering has become. She apologizes for everything, even things that are not her fault. She kneels, begs, and constantly seeks validation from a man who offers none. It's a cycle many viewers will sadly recognize, a toxic relationship where one partner dominates while the other slowly loses themselves. Yet the film does not stop at domestic abuse, it expands into betrayal. Captain Rufus, while controlling his wife's every move, lives a completely opposite life outside. He has a mistress, a woman he showers with affection, gifts, promises, and attention. With her, he is soft, playful, romantic, the exact opposite of the monster he is at home. This contrast is intentional and powerful. It highlights hypocrisy in its rawest form. While Chama begs for basic needs like money to fix her hair, Rufus promises millions to another woman. While he calls his wife useless, he praises his mistress as a queen. It's emotionally infuriating, and that's exactly the point. Then comes a turning point in the story, an unexpected incident that changes everything. Rufus is involved in a violent encounter that leaves him blind. Suddenly, the man who controlled everything can no longer see. The once powerful figure becomes dependent, vulnerable, helpless. But instead of humility, we see something else: bitterness. Even in blindness, Rufus refuses to change. He becomes even more aggressive, even more accusatory, and even more abusive. He blames Chama for his condition. He calls her a witch. He insults her, degrades her, and continues to treat her as less than human. This part of the film is both painful and symbolic. It shows that some people do not change, even when life forces them to. Their darkness is not situational, it is who they are. However, something begins to shift in Chama. Slowly, quietly, her silence begins to crack. The woman who once accepted everything starts to question. The woman who once feared begins to observe. The woman who once obeyed begins to resist. And when she finally speaks, truly speaks, it is explosive. One of the most powerful moments in Paid in Full is Chama's confrontation. Years of pain, suppression, and emotional abuse pour out in one raw, unfiltered outburst. She calls out Rufus's failures, not just as a husband, but as a man. She exposes his lies, his hypocrisy, and even his deepest insecurities. She reveals truths he never expected her to know. That moment is not just confrontation, it is liberation. For the first time, Chama is no longer afraid. The title, Paid in Full, begins to make sense here. It is not just about money or debt, it is about consequences. Rufus, who spent his life taking from others, manipulating situations, and abusing power, is finally facing the cost of his actions. Everything must be paid for. His lies, his cruelty, his betrayal, his abuse. All of it comes back to him fully. The film also cleverly uses secondary characters to reinforce its themes. Chama's sister, for example, acts as a voice of reason. She represents the outside world, the perspective Chama has been cut off from. Through her, we see what Chama could have been if she had freedom, confidence, and support. Even small interactions like strangers showing kindness or concern highlight how abnormal Chama's situation truly is. Another strong aspect of the film is its dialogue. It feels real, raw, unfiltered. The conversations are not polished or overly dramatic. They feel like real-life arguments, real-life pain, real-life frustration. This authenticity makes the story hit even harder. The pacing of the film is also worth mentioning. It builds tension gradually. It doesn't rush the story. Instead, it allows viewers to sit in the discomfort, to feel the weight of each scene, to truly understand the emotional journey of the characters. Visually, the film keeps things grounded. It doesn't rely on flashy effects or dramatic settings. The focus remains on the characters and their interactions, which is exactly where the strength of the story lies. But perhaps the biggest takeaway from Paid in Full is its message. It is a warning. A warning about abusive relationships, a warning about unchecked authority, a warning about silence. It reminds us that power without accountability is dangerous, that love without respect is not love, that silence in the face of abuse only empowers the abuser. And most importantly, it shows that no matter how long injustice lasts, there will always come a time when the truth demands to be heard. Chama's journey is not just about suffering, it is about awakening, about reclaiming identity, about realizing that she deserves more. By the end of the film, one question lingers. Who really lost everything? Was it the woman who found her voice, or the man who lost control? Paid in Full is not an easy watch, but it is a necessary one. It challenges, it provokes, and it stays with you long after the credits roll. Rating: 4 stars out of 5. If you're looking for a film that combines intense drama, emotional depth, and powerful social commentary, Paid in Full is definitely worth your time. Don't forget to subscribe to Flicks and